The Supreme Court created history today as it live streamed the first ever Constitution bench proceeding. In fact, 3 hearings were live streamed today. Starting today, the Apex Court has decided to live stream all Constitution bench proceedings. But how did this privilege of having the Supreme Court proceedings live stream come to be? It started in 2018 on a petition that asked for all proceedings of the top court to be available to the general public using technology. The top court had then cleared the decks for live telecast, but it took quite some time for this to actually be put into practice. The idea is that we should have the right to access justice under Article 21 of the Constitution, and this was the essential case. Now, we finally have a situation where very key hearings and very key cases will be available to the public to see. Now, one might think this is something only lawyers would care about, maybe those who are studying law, or maybe those who are petitioners in the case. But only on day 1, there have been about 7 lakh live views in these first 3 cases which have been live streamed. Why is this important and why is this being called a game changer? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Sanjay Hegde, Senior Advocate in the Supreme Court, and Sandeep Parekh, Managing Partner, Finsec Law Advisors. Welcome to both of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us on the India Development Debate. While passing this order back in 2018, the order said that sunlight is the best disinfectant. Let me begin with you, Mr. Hegde, and your take on how this will change things. Do you think it's important for this to be available to the public?
It's very important because the judiciary is the third pillar of the state. How does it function? How does it arrive at decisions? What are the arguments put before it? All these are important to a democracy, and people watching it, getting a better sense and better understanding of how things work within the judiciary is important. The same order which refers to Article 21 and also the right of an informed citizenry. Right of free speech is almost meaningless if it is not really informed speech. All these concepts do come in, and I think this is the way to go forward. You will notice that especially in the United States, the coverage of the O.J. Simpson murder trial or the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation case led to so much of public engagement with what happens inside the courtroom. I do think that this is a similar thing which is happening in India. But while this is a first for the Supreme Court, one must also commend the High Courts which first took the initiative. It was the Gujarat High Court under Chief Justice Vikram Nath, who is now on the Supreme Court, who started putting court proceedings on YouTube. Later, other high courts followed. In fact, when I argued the hijab matter before the Karnataka High Court, the court put the proceedings up on YouTube, and it attracted, I think, a live audience of tens of thousands of people at times.
No, but
there
Mr.
is much greater involvement.
For our understanding, most Indians will not understand the legalese. They might not completely comprehend what the arguments and the counter arguments are. And secondly, will it make lawyers a little nervous about what they say in court? Will it make judges a little nervous about what they utter in court?
Well, I don't think it will immediately make lawyers and judges nervous, because
conscious actually would be the right word. Let me rephrase that. Conscious.
Conscious, maybe, but till some major mishap occurs, most people will go on exactly the way that they were going on earlier. There may be attempts to play to the gallery, but by and large, lawyers are more interested in persuading the judge in front of them rather than appealing to an audience out there at large or on the internet.
Mr. Sandeep,
Yes.
Let me get Sandeep Parekh in. Sandeep Parekh, why do you think this is a game changer? And will it change the way ordinary citizens access the law or understand the law?
Yes, so it's not very intuitive, but the answer is that in the legal system, we of course have a whole culture of adjournments, which is, people are very tolerant of adjournments. Lawyers, every time they have too many matters, they seek an adjournment. Judges are tired, they seek an adjournment. And of course, 50% of all litigants always want adjournment because it serves their purpose, honestly. So I think once this transparency comes in, people, judges and lawyers and even litigants would be a lot more alert because they're out there in the public glare. If a litigant wants to drag out a matter for 20 years, it will be observable by everybody that here is this person who's kind of asking for frivolous reasons, asking for adjournment. So I think transparency is kind of a public good by itself, and we've seen that I'm a securities lawyer, and we've seen how the disclosure-based regime changed the entire the flavor of how the markets worked in 1988. Before that, we had a Babu who'd approve every prospectus and how much money you could raise. And once the disclosure-based system came in, it was again, it's not perfect, but it's less imperfect than almost all of the means of.
No, this is an interesting take, Sanjay Hegde. I want your view on this. Will the tariq pe tariq culture maybe change with the disinfectant of sunlight?
Well, it's a fond hope. We'll see how it works out. Because just to take another example, you have had parliamentary telecasts for a very long time now. Do you think that the quality of parliamentary debate has increased or decreased? And what kind of sanctions do you have within that system? It will inform the public, no doubt, as to what is happening. It may lead to certain corrective measures, or people may not overbook themselves. Let's see how it works out. At the end of the day, we have a legal system where lots of litigants are chasing very few lawyers. And there are lots of lawyers who are not being chased at all. They just cannot possibly fit in all their commitments. And I don't see that only by virtue of being telecast that the system will change. That's a different ballgame altogether. Yes, it will lead to greater awareness, and that's a good thing.
So is that pretty much the long and short of it, Sandeep Parekh? Greater awareness, and whoever tunes in, tunes in. I suppose some cases which are of broader interest will get more views, and the ability of the common Indian citizen to understand what goes on in a courtroom at the end of the day.
No, sir. See, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the of kind of the viewership angle, which is nice, of course. It's good to kind of see what is happening and all that. But I think it will have a major behavioral impact on litigants, on lawyers, and judges, because we have a system which is ranked at one of the bottom 50 countries in the entire world when you look at enforcement of contracts, judicial system. So I think all of it is coming out of the speed of enforcement of law, and I see this as, at least it may be a hope, but I definitely see this as a good reason for people to alter their behavior, even if it's kind of for the public audience.
I just want to take this opportunity to talk a bit about transparency within the judiciary, Sanjay Hegde. And this is something that has been a matter of debate for long. Obviously, being able to see exactly what happens in court life contributes to it. But what are the other areas where there could be more transparency? For example, does the average citizen understand or is privy to appointment of judges, or even which bench gets to hear which case, and things like that?
Well, the ordinary citizen may not exactly have the entire technical expertise. As far as appointment of judges is concerned, the judges have taken it upon themselves to have their particular collegium meetings. We do not have something like the Federalist Society out here, like there is in the US, which sort of recommends to the president what kind of people should be appointed as judges. maybe we will have more of that as and when the performance of judges themselves comes up for review during the course of all these public displays of how the judiciary functions in its courtroom arena.
Just, that question to you, Sandeep, the overall need for more transparency and more understanding on how our judiciary works, one of the most important pillars, I would say, or a crucial pillar of our democracy.
Yeah, so I mean, since 1992, of course, judges have decided they will appoint themselves, they elevate themselves, etc. So it's become a very kind of unfair process, and of course there have been multiple attempts at reforming this system. New laws have been attempted, parts of which have been struck down and stuff. So it's gone through a very long history, and I'm optimistic that there will be some level of external influence on whether it's eminent jurists or whether it's kind of somebody representing civil society or the government. They should all participate in the process, which right now is just 3 or 5 judges who decide everything, including appointments, elevations, transfers, etc. So I think that system does need to change, and I think judiciary knows it needs to change because it's kind of too protected and too opaque, really. So, you really don't see the decision making. Why something is happening. At some level, of course, I think it's important to have some discretion, but at the same time, some level of accountability also needs to seep in.
So this could be perhaps a start to more accountability and transparency in the judiciary. Meanwhile, unheard of in terms of actually being able to watch what happens in a courtroom. What I found fascinating with some of today's proceedings is to see really noted lawyers in action and what they actually do. So that will be interesting going forward as well. Thank you so much, Sandeep Parekh and Sanjay Hegde, for joining us today.
Thank you.